Mayor Johnson, under Chicago law, would you turn this criminal over to ICE on a detainer?
Our local law enforcement works hard every day to get criminals off the streets of Chicago.
Would you turn that criminal over to ICE? That's the problem. That's one of the topics of this conversation. That's one of the problems we've heard from Tom Hammond and from the Homeland Security is that in your cities, when someone's apprehended for a crime and ICE is now with this new federal policy wanting to come in and deport the criminal alien, that you will not cooperate with ICE. Will you turn that criminal over to ICE?
And we do not harbor criminals. Our local police department works hard every single day to ensure that the city of Chicago is
yes
safe.
Or no? Will you turn the criminal over to ICE?
With a criminal warrant from the federal government, our local law enforcement.
Wu, I have a last couple questions for you. Do you believe that ICE arresting a child rapist, quote, threatens everyone's safety, end quote? Yes or no?
No.
Does ICE arresting a murderous MS-13 gang member threaten everyone's safety? Yes or no?
No.
I would like to hold up this quote of you where you say ICE's efforts actually threaten the safety of everyone, end quote, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu. You're a hypocrite. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Boy, I've been waiting for this hearing. I completely forgot about it because of all the reactions to Donald Trump's speech from the left, and there's more for that to come. But before then, I wanted to point out to people, if you're new to this channel, I talked about extensively how much money in total U.S. taxpayers pay for illegal aliens to stay in our country. And I always like to make the comparison that we spend $150 billion keeping illegals in our country. And all this money is coming from sanctuary cities, right? And you saw from the intro, these sanctuary cities, they're not meant to keep people safe. They're meant to act as a hub to attract illegals into their country to increase their census numbers, which therefore increase their electoral college power, their electoral power. Like, make it make sense. You're giving more power to Democratic voters in these heavily blue states, right? Because think about it. The country's not getting more left-wing. It's these left-wing states getting bigger and bigger population and then when we do our census, they recalculate those things to make their states have more electoral power. And the illegal immigration point, it seems like a better and faster way without having to convince the American people to give Democrats more power and more sway. This is one of the reasons why I speculate that Democrats unilaterally vote against any bill that will not count illegals into the census numbers. The GOP tried to pass a bill where only American citizens are counted as part of the census. Therefore, only American citizens' population will decide the electoral college. And every Democrat voted against it. Main reason why? Because sanctuary cities are used to empower and further increase the political power of dominant blue cities like New York, Boston, Chicago. And now New York, Boston, and Chicago's mayors were questioned about the sanctuary city statuses and what they do. Sanctuary city mayors get a reality check in heated House hearing. How sanctuary city policies are failing and their mayors have no answer. As you saw from the intro, you saw Nancy Mace ask questions about, hey, look, you made statements before, but then when I asked for clarification, you contradict a statement you made in the past because you wanted to put on a political show. If there was ever a moment that exposed just how out of touch some Americans' biggest sanctuary city mayors are, it was yesterday in the Oversight Committee's hearing. 4 mayors representing Boston, Chicago, Denver, and New York were hauled in to defend their policies, and no one's surprised it didn't go well for them. Republican lawmakers didn't hold back, which you will see in this video, hammering these officials with hard numbers and real-world consequences of their so-called policies. And one of them is how much money they spend to maintain illegals in their cities. Let's take a look.
Mayor Johnson, in the last 4 years, how much has Chicago spent on care for illegal aliens?
Thank you for that question, Congresswoman. So since 2022, since the governor of Texas began
Just
shipping.
tell me a number. I don't need a speech. Just tell me a number.
So since 2022, since the governor of Texas was shipping individuals to cities across this country, the city's budget, roughly 1% of the city's budget over the course of 4 years.
Mayor Johnston, the same question, and I don't need a speech, just a number.
Thank you, Dr. Congresswoman. Thank you, Congresswoman. It's $79 million over the last 2.5 years.
Mayor Adams, same question. How much has New York spent to care for illegal aliens?
Approximately $6.9 billion went out of our taxpayers' funds.
Mayor Wu, same question. How much has Boston spent to care for illegal aliens in the last 4 years?
We do not ask about immigration status and giving city services and providing that access, so we do not have a number.
Taxpayers have been bearing the brunt of the massive wave of illegal aliens who've entered the United States. The Biden administration seemingly declared taxpayers and hardworking Americans collateral damage in the pursuit of open borders. Again, Mayor Johnson, are NGOs providing services to illegal aliens in Chicago?
In accordance with the Welcoming City Ordinance, our sister agencies or city departments, we do not seek the status of any individual that is seeking service.
Mayor Johnston, are NGOs providing services to illegal aliens in Denver?
Thank you, ma'am. When folks arrive on the streets without food or resources or shelter, we do provide food or shelter regardless of where folks arrive from.
Mayor Adams, same question.
Yes, in combination of city agencies and nonprofits, we responded to the migrant asylum seekers humanitarian crisis that hit our city.
And Mayor Wu, I assume you don't know their status, but do you know if there are NGOs are providing services to people arriving in your city without any kind of documentation?
There are community organizations, many of them in Boston, who seek to serve all of our Boston residents.
Congress must provide oversight and ensure.
Imagine in a blue city where you're likely paying state tax. Some of these blue cities, Boston, I think Boston, I know for sure New York, but Boston, they even have city tax, sorry. If you live in the city, you get taxed on top of state tax, on top of federal tax, and then you imagine hearing that $1 billion of your money is going into feeding illegals, housing them, right? This is why Donald Trump won. Donald Trump made his promise. Hey, I'm gonna do something about the border. Border crossings are down 95% compared to last year. Donald Trump, promises made, promises kept. This is some of the reason why people are going towards Trump. This is some of the reason why Democrats are losing the narrative war. And I'm about to do another video after this one, reacting to the performative behavior of the Democratic Party because they're failing. They're failing. Harsh spin behind the reality. The arguments from these mayors weren't just weak, they were detached from reality. Their main defense? That sanctuary policies help build trust between immigrant communities and law enforcement. It's a non-sounding idea, but it crumbles under the weight of hard facts. When illegals who shouldn't have been deported are instead released onto the streets only to commit more crimes, there's no way to justify that as safer. And there was a stat I showed before in this channel that in New York, at one time in New York, 3 out of 4 crimes were committed by an illegal. 3 out of 4. And they've been trying to defend this stuff. And here is where we go into a murder scene for a lot of these blue sanctuary city defending states, sanctuary states. Chicago, I think Illinois is a sanctuary state, but who knows? This is where the rubber meets the road, right? So you want taxpayers to pay billions of dollars to maintain these illegals in our country. These illegals have no respect for our law enforcement. If you saw some clips from New York, I remember the New York, the NYPD had 2 illegals attack cops, and then they got away because of their no bail policy. And I remember it was national news. That happened in a sanctuary city. Then those people left New York. Make it make sense. What happened with Lincoln Riley? She committed crime. Her perpetrator committed crimes in New York and then was allowed to move out of New York and into Georgia where he encountered Lincoln Riley. Sanctuary cities do not. So you're telling. This is where I get a little bit pissed off. Just like the European Union likes to call us the spies across the world, but they expect money from us. These Democrats expect us to pay for these people to bring harm into our communities and into our country. Make that make sense. You can't justify it. You can't. Democrats can't justify it. This is why they're nervous. They're like, oh shoot. Some mayor sitting there, I'm not going to tell you who, has less than 7% approval rating in his city. I bet you can guess who I'm talking about. Yet they still stand by it. Why? Because they benefit politically. It's obvious. You don't take heat like this. You don't put your city into a budget deficit if it didn't benefit you politically. And we all know this. But Democrats want to pretend that they're doing this for virtuous reasons. No. Your virtue is performative, just like your protest of Donald Trump's speech. But I digress. Let's get into the video.
Do you have a round number?
Over the last couple of years, on all newcomers, whatever their status was, it's around 79 million since 2022.
79 million. Mayor Johnson, Chicago. How much has the city of Chicago spent on illegal immigration?
If you're referring to the 2022 up to 2024 of the buses coming from Texas, roughly the same percentage of the state of Texas, about 1% of our overall budget.
What is that? Because I don't have the city's budget in front of me. Numbers.
Yes. And this is the funny part. They'll say 1%, and then you find out they have $1 billion, like over $1 billion revenue. And they say it's only 1% of the revenue. Okay, that's what, 100 million? You spent 100 million on the illegals? But on this channel, I have the numbers already. They purportedly, Chicago almost spent $1 billion. It's like $989 million. They almost spent $1 billion with services to illegal immigrants. Yes, you heard that correctly. You heard that correctly. Imagine that. You spent almost $1 billion on these people, and they can't vote for you? They can't vote for you? They didn't put you in power. They're likely not paying taxes. Why are you doing all this for them? Because the census. Because they give Chicago more electoral power, more electoral votes, which will help Democrats decide the election with a little bit less states. I'm telling you, that's why everyone's scared. If Texas or Florida ever turns blue, this is why Democrats they don't really care about rural America, because they want all these sanctuary cities, make them huge population hubs, so that way they can disproportionately affect the election. This is the long-term play.
It's 1%, and if you want the actual calculation, we can make sure someone.
You're the mayor. You don't have the math in front of you.
It's 1% of the overall budget over the last 4 years.
That's why you're a failing
which
mayor.
is
Mayor
the same
Adams,
number that
how
was
much did
sent
the city
from
of
us
New
from
York
the
actually
state
spend
of
on
Texas.
illegal immigration? Mayor Johnson, I already asked you. You don't have a hard number, and if you don't have a hard number, you're not running your city well. Mayor Adams, how much did the city of New York actually spend on illegal immigration?
6.9 billion of taxpayers.
$6.9 billion of taxpayer money on a problem that was fostered on the American people. Mayor Wu, in the city of Boston, how much did you spend?
We don't ask about immigration status and delivering city
You don't
services,
ask
so
about
we
how
don't
much
have
money
that
the city of Boston has spent on illegal immigration?
We
Are you
don't
out of your
distinguish
mind?
between immigration status.
Do you
as
manage
part
your
of our
budget
city
or not,
policies.
Mayor Wu?
That is how we keep
Mayor
our city
Wu,
safe.
do you manage
we
your
have
budget or
the
not?
numbers to prove it. I manage my budget. I have a AAA bond rating dating back 10 years.
So to the city of Boston,
budget.
just understand that your mayor does not care how much of your resources she has.
Just like the waste, fraud, and abuse in the government, and how Democrats unilaterally seems to blindly defend federal employees, waste, inefficiencies, because it's an easy way to mask what they're doing with taxpayer money. I think after this hearing, Wu is the worst one out of all of them. I thought it was going to be Brandon Johnson, but I was pleasantly surprised. At least he gave you, it's a percentage of my budget. Okay, all you have to do is do a Google search Chicago's total budget, calculate 1% of that, and you know how much they spent on illegal immigration. At least you can have enough information and context to find the information yourself. Eric Adams just flatly gave you the answer, and Wu says, I ain't got the answer. But you are supposed to be running stuff. You're supposed to be overseeing stuff. So how you know waste, fraud, and abuse is not being done in Boston? So you can play ignorant. Oh, so you can play these little nice sounding words. Democratic Party, y'all starting to have this kind of branding, and it sticks. It's on. I call y'all fake, but I think the more accurate word is performative. Y'all like to talk about Donald Trump likes to do political theater, but y'all the masters of political theater. I mean, I just saw Jasmine Crockett, House Congresswoman for Texas, doing some ratchet-ish online. And I'm like, that's a congresswoman? With her tongue out, being ratchet. Y'all don't believe me? The next video, I'll make sure to find that clip. I'm going to make sure to find that clip. This is how performative the Democratic Party has become. And now when you come back to reality and you're asking, hey, look, I need a party that can solve problems. Democrats are not your guy. Democrats, you're not that party. Sorry, not sorry. Let's continue with the video.
Spent on people who are not citizens
The city
of
of Boston
the city of
is
Boston.
sick of having
I'm
people
reclaiming my
outside
time.
Boston
Mr.
telling
Bear,
us what
Mr.
we
Bear, I have
need.
a question for you because I understand Cato's perspective when it comes to illegal immigration. I understand that the Cato Institute for a long time has had a standard of actually having open immigration into the United States. Generally speaking, I don't want to get into specifics.
We support legal immigration. We want immigration to be legal.
So let me ask you this question, because one of the great libertarians of the modern era, Milton Friedman, famously said, you can either have open borders or a welfare state, but you have to choose. Mr. Beer, what do you choose?
Milton Friedman said he wanted to allow illegal immigration to continue. I disagree with Milton Friedman's position on that. We should have legal immigration and build a wall around the welfare state, not around the country. That's in the best interest of taxpayers.
And I would argue that under the current system where you have sanctuary cities popping up, it is not possible to build that wall. So America has to choose. Mr. Beer, you're done. America has to choose between securing our nation or protecting the taxpayer. I choose secure the nation. I yield back.
And we just witnessed a murder, guys. How to massacre Democratic Party. Look at this. Chicago is its new emission rival amidst budget shortfall. Illegal immigration contributed to that. This is crazy. This is crazy, right? And that's the reality that they got hit with. This is the reality that the Democratic cities got hit with. That they can't make, like, the American citizens in blue cities with these sanctuary cities are collateral damage to the inefficiencies of these sanctuary cities. And when asked questions to how you documenting this, what is the value add for American citizens? Like this is my question. This is one of the positions that I have, and a lot of these blue Democrat liberals or like whoever they are come in my comment section, disagree with me, tell me I'm lying, telling me that I'm anti-immigrant, I'm an anti-immigration. No, I'm not anti-immigration just because I resist illegal immigration. I want it done a particular way. I want immigration done a particular way. And because I don't want just blatant anyone can come into my country like an open door, I'm anti-immigration. That's how you're going to color me? And then these same leftists will have the gall to say that the Democratic Party represents the working class. How illegal immigration benefits the working class? Can't give me an answer. All these left-wing people, all these progressives, so-called progressive supporters and Democratic supporters, all they have is criticisms for my speculations, for my theories, for my claims, but they ain't giving me alternative answers, though. They ain't trying to justify their ish. And when you ask the very people that they support what they're doing, it seems like every single thing is at the expense of the American people. And this is why the Democratic Party, in my estimation, is a party of America last. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear what you have to say, your thoughts and your perspectives. Also, let me know in the comment section what you believe is going on with sanctuary cities. Do you agree with my synopsis of sanctuary cities? Do you have an alternative view of what sanctuary cities is? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you if you share this video. It will help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.